First, what is your reaction to being locked out of your office or barred from your office today?
I really don't have any comment on that, really, frankly, right now.
Okay. Are you going to use an injunction or something to try to get back in, do you think?
No comment, really. At the present time, I really don't have anything to say on it, really.
Okay, what are you going to do next?
Well, first, and I would like to talk to the people in the poverty area, the target people, and then after I talk to them, then maybe I'll have something to say. But I do want to talk to them.
What do you hope to learn from them?
Oh, about them. But I do have to do have to talk to them and do want to.
Well, could that be considered as something of an admission that you don't know too much about them right now?
No, not necessarily. But then again, you might be close to right. But let me put it this way: I don't really have any comment until I talk to them, and I do want to talk to them.
One further question: is there any reason to believe you may be going to leave DLS right away?
No.
What floor judge is on? 15. Isn't everybody? No. We thought maybe you could tell us about him. It's on. Good morning, Mr. How you doing?
Let me try.
All right?
Yeah.
Coach Hayden Fry has been at Southern Methodist University since 1962. He's had some lean years and he's had some fat years. In regards to 1971, Coach Fry labels this squad extremely young and extremely inexperienced.
Jerry, I think that would be an understatement. We only have one youngster in our offensive line that started for us last year, and he started half the season, George Zock at right offensive tackle. Other than that, excluding Gary Hammond, who's a great athlete, all conference 2 years, but even Gary has moved into quarterback, a position new to Gary's.
One of the weakest points would be my passing. I've laid off for 2 years, and this is something that you shouldn't do, really. I feel bad about it now because there wasn't any excuse for it. But I laid off for 2 years throwing the ball, and now this past summer I had to throw, gosh, knows how many passes. But my arm got very sore, very, very sore, and I got blisters on my fingers and things like this. Another problem will probably be reading the defense, reading the entire defense. At running back, you read the linebackers and the defensive backs, and at receiver, you just read the cornerbacks and the safeties. And at quarterback, you've got to read everybody, and this has been a problem for me too.
How does your defense shape up, Coach?
Well, defensively, we have probably as good, if not the best defensive secondaries we've had since I've been at SMU, and we've had some good ones.
Are there as many good wide receivers around the league as there were last year in your sophomore year?
They're a lot younger, sir, and they'll probably be a lot more mature next year or maybe the next, but I don't believe there are except here at SMU.
How do you feel about your offense? Do you think it'll give you more rest, or do you think you'll be playing more?
I believe that they're going to give us a lot more rest because any type of running ball club is going to keep the ball longer, even if they don't even get a first down, than a passing ball club would. Which we're looking forward to a little rest on the sidelines. So.
We have quality linebackers in Joe Dickerson and Sherwood Blunt. We have an excellent defensive end in Jim Ryan. The tackle situations this time remain to be seen. We're fairly small physically because two of our larger tackles, Steve Martin and Rock Rollins, have not recovered sufficiently from summer operations to play. But should these two youngsters come back to go along with the defensive tackles we have, we'll be pretty strong on defense.
I know you're proud of your core of wide receivers, are you not?
I think our wide receivers, at least the top three, are as fine as you will find on any college in America.
We do have a wealth of receivers, and it's going to be hard to start, for one thing.
What sort of a goal or goals have you set for yourself this year?
Well, I really don't like to discuss goals, but I'd really like to be all conference. I'd like to lead the league in receiving. I don't know if that's very attainable this year as far as leading the receiver, because I don't know if we'll be throwing that many passes, but I would like to be all conference. That's one of my big goals in life.
Now, among the players with whom I've talked today, there is enthusiasm, and they feel with some good breaks and the experience gained in the early season, and some of the players come through, they'll have a good year. Do you deep down have these same optimistic feelings?
Well, Jerry, as a coach, this is what we preach to our players each day. We certainly are much more optimistic with our players than we are, say, to the public, because we know that everything is to be proven yet. We have a very inexperienced football team, but as a coach, I can see the potential. And should we be fortunate enough not to be just blown out of the tub by Oklahoma, Missouri, and Air Force Academy, I think that by conference play, we'll have a very sound, fine football team.
The Mustangs open their football season September the 18th against the University of Oklahoma. Then they play Missouri, New Mexico State, and Air Force and get ready for the conference. Coach Fry would like to have more time in order to get his squad ready. He doesn't have it, but he'll do the best he can. This is Jerry Haynes for Channel 8 Sports from Ownby Stadium on the SMU campus.
Now you're getting about $100 million a year in the city of Dallas. That's a lot of money. And I believe your normal taxes will go up each year through the growth of the city. And yet you have to have more and more money. Everybody wants more. And let's hold the line. It can be done. It may be that over the last 2 years that the city has probably spent a little more than I believe they should have. Obligate themselves to big programs. But perhaps take another look at those programs and keep this tax rate down. It can be done. I have to do it. Individuals do it. People on fixed incomes. And we can't go out and pick up extra money to pay these extra costs. So let's hold it down.
The tax ordinance passed without comment this morning. It was made possible by an act of the state legislature earlier this year. That act provides for a 3% maximum tax on sleeping rooms renting for more than $2 a night. The tax won't hit the tourists too hard. On a $15 room, it would only amount to about 45 cents extra a night. But the city expects to get better than $200,000 a year, and that would go to help build tourism. Half the money, or $110,000 a year, will go to the city's Convention and Visitor Bureau to advertise the city and to help promote conventions. The other half of the money would go for the improvement of convention and visitor facilities, primarily Will Rogers Auditorium and Coliseum. The big attraction of the new tax, though, is that it frees badly needed city money that has in the past gone for tourist promotion. That money can now be used for the more routine business of running the city. Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
And another thing that you hear about and I agree with Mr. Garry Weber on this, is the city hall. You say, Dallas is getting to be like the young couple that wants to start out with their marriage where their parents, took off. And we want everything at once. We want the Cotton Bowl redone, which personally I feel was very foolish. Now they're going to do the music hall, which is old. I think that's a waste of money. And then Mr. Weber talked about we need more safety in our city, then we need a new city hall. I read this in the news, the Dallas News. And I agree with him. What good is a city if it's not safe? And I feel that we need a lot more policemen. Now, I don't know how we compare. I mean Dallas, not Greater Dallas. How we compare with a city like Milwaukee. But I think we're practically the same size. But Milwaukee has many, many more policemen than we have. And they pay them a lot more money. And their salaries are not on the same standard as a civil or city employees. Because of the danger involved, their salaries are in an entirely different classification. And the same way with the firemen. I feel the same way about our firemen.
That title, and I want to see us keep it. And I would like to see us have a city hall that we can all be proud of. And regardless of whether we build it now or keep discussing it. But I would like to see it brought to a head because I want to see a city hall we're proud of. I know I'm going to have to pay for it, but I'd rather pay for it as a building I could be proud of than pay for it as rents that I can't show anything for. Thank you.
My budget, you
who said profits were at an all-time low?
The President's Council of Economic Advisors.
Well, in certain industries, but in certain industries, they are second or third, best year that they've ever had. So there again is general statements, just like people say, well, wages ought not to go up. Well, there are an awful lot of people, 20% of the people in this state, making wages that are below poverty level. There's 40 to 50% making wages that are below a fair standard of living level. So those things need to be taken into account when you have a wage price and profit control. And the Nixon administration only, and initially, only wanted the working people to make any sacrifices.
The Dallas School Board again plans to turn to U.S. District Judge William M. Taylor, Jr. for a solution in the school busing dilemma. School attorneys plan to ask Judge Taylor to stay that portion of his ruling dealing with the busing of approximately 7,000 Dallas students. The school board says it has been unable to come up with the 105 buses needed to transport those students under Judge Taylor's orders. If Judge Taylor does grant a stay order as requested by school officials, the schools that were closed initially will reopen, and attendance zones for all secondary schools will revert to 1970-71 boundaries. If Judge Taylor does not grant a stay order as requested, then it's anybody's guess as to what is a practical alternative. Gene McIntyre for Channel 8 News on the Move at the Federal Courthouse.
Are you ready to tell your story yet?
Not yet. No statement
when do you
yet.
think you'll be
No
telling
statement
your
yet,
story?
please. Please, I'm almost late. No statement.
In today's testimony, Carr was described as being present at a number of meetings that took place, but the testimony did not say that Carr took any active part in negotiations or any of the deals that were made. The Texas politicians who have been mentioned so prominently in regard to the Texas stock fraud case do not have any part in this civil suit except for Representative Tommy Shannon of Fort Worth, who has been called as a witness. The other politicians whose names have been mentioned so often while under investigation by federal and state grand juries are not connected with this case as defendants, and the only testimony that they will give will be depositions, which are already on file with the SEC. This is Roger McDonald, Channel 8 News on the Move at the Dallas Federal Building.